So poor. So poor from Juventus today. The game ended there. Juventus won. AC Milan won. Literally just ended. This is as fresh, I don't know, as a new pair of shoes, this match reaction. But it's disappointing. It's disappointing because I look at this situation, I think, we can't challenge for the league this year. I don't want to be pessimistic. I don't. But realistically, in a world of realism, in a world of facts that I need to speak, to tell you boys the truth, we're not at a stage yet, right now, in this moment. What date is it? It's the 5th of October, 2025. We are not in a title charge. We're not. You can say we're 3 points behind the leader. That's fine. I'll tell you why we're not in a title charge. In the last 2 matches, we faced Atalanta and Milan at home. To win a league, you win your head-to-heads. We drew. Both at home. That means then we need to go away and win. You have to win. There's no two ways about it. Then because you're 3 points behind the league leaders in Roma and Napoli, you have to win against both of those guys to even level out the playing field. If hypothetically, you're still 3 points behind. Obviously, you might be more. You might be less, of course. They might drop points. But I look at how Roma played today against Fiorentina. Not the best performance in the world. In fact, they're quite fortunate to get the win. Fiorentina missed a lot of chances. Keane hit the bar, or the post actually. Gosens missed a few sitters. But do you know what they did, Roma? They created a lot in the final third. And they had world-class moments from players like Matthias Sule, who set them apart and raised the barrier. What did we do today? We lacked creativity. We created little chances as always. Wrong subs, wrong starting 11, wrong system. And we were fortunate to get a draw. That's the reality, chat. The reality is we were fortunate to come away with a point. And it seems like every single game we play in the last 5 matches, we're fortunate to come away with a point. Whether that's Dortmund, whether that, not Verona actually, because there should have been a red card on Orban. The penalty was very dodgy. But Atalanta, Villarreal, today, fortunate in every game to come away with a point. What did Milan do? They missed the penalty. Rafael missed one sitter, another one-on-one. Yes, Gatti missed a one-on-one that he should be burying, but Maignan pulled off a wicked save. A much better save than the save Di Gregorio had to pull off on Leao, for example. So it's not a good enough performance again today, and I'm annoyed and I'm disappointed. And now we're going to analyse everything. We're going to analyse this game. Di Gregorio in goal. Definitely. Here it says he won man of the match, but I think you could easily make that argument. I think it was really between 2-3 players today. Di Gregorio made 4 big saves. This one here on Leao was crazy. It's a bad miss, but it was a top save. And he marshalled the defence really well today. I've been critical of Di Gregorio at points in this season, but today he was excellent. And I don't think he really put a foot wrong, and we were lucky to have him today. He saved us. I'm not going to lie to you boys. The defence, Kelly, Rogani, Gatti, was poor. It was bad. Kelly, of course, had a really poor decision, taking down who I forgot who made the run. Pulisic, I want to say Salamakers, maybe it was. He committed the foul that led to the penalty. Grabbing his man. Why are you touching him? In that situation, you're behind the man. Oh, it was Jimenez. Sorry, I think it was Jimenez. But you're behind the man. Why are you pulling onto his shirt or almost rugby tackling him in that situation? He's not on the ball. He's not through in on goal. It's a ball that's played over the top by Luca Modric. Granted, a world-class pass. But don't hold on to him. That's a guaranteed penalty. Jimenez, of all players, isn't a guaranteed goal in that situation. But luckily, Pulisic skied the penalty. But that was fortunate. We were lucky in that situation. Other than that, Kelly was probably one of the better ones out of the 3 defenders, because Rogani had a couple lapses in judgment. But again, this is the first time he started a game this season. Obviously, he came off the bench against Villarreal. He's replacing Bremer, which isn't easy at all. So I understand that the pressure was on him, and I thought he did decent. Gatti, I have to say, obviously Pulisic beat him every time, pretty much, when he was one-on-one. But the miss from Gatti was bad. The Leao miss was bad as well. Yes, Maignan pulled off a world-class save. But when you're 2 yards out with the whole goal in front of you, you have to score. You have to. I don't care if it's Buffon in goal, Neuer in goal, 2 keepers in goal. I don't care. You have to score in that situation. And it was It's just, that's going to replay in my mind for the whole night, bro. The whole night. Cambiaso on the left. I thought this was one of his better performances this season. I thought he played really well today. Gave us a lot in the final third. Was inverting almost in this midfield position that we saw him invert into a lot of with Motta last season. But again, his final pass hasn't been there recently. He used to be such an effective crosser of the ball. He used to be so good in the final third. And today, he just lacked it. Today, he didn't have that, which is a big shame. Locatelli now. Locatelli was decent. Nothing special. He completed the most passes in the match. But today, I believe there was one great ball he put in the first half to Kalulu, who then cut it across and it should have ended up in a goal. It was McKennie who messed up. But today, Locatelli, I don't think was as good as he was against Villarreal, but still one of the better players on the pitch. A player that can find passes through the lines. But in this system, when he's next to someone like McKennie, who cannot play in a double pivot, we've seen that. Under Allegri, he can't play in a double pivot. Under Motta, he didn't play in a double pivot. Now, he cannot play in a double pivot. Locatelli almost has to do double the work. That's why I'm feeling sorry for him. McKennie today had the least, look at this, he had the least touches of any outfield player. When you're in a double pivot, you need to be active in the game. You need to be a threat. You need to be dictating the tempo of the game. McKennie today, yes, he covers a lot of ground and he works hard, but he's not intelligent enough to play in a double pivot. His offensive capabilities are not there to play in a double pivot. Next to a Locatelli who's going to sit, almost be the quarterback in this team, McKennie needs to be the engine. McKennie needs to be the technical player in the final third, picking out the final ball, taking shots, being a threat inside the box. And in the first half, he had 2 chances inside the box and he scuffed both. Come on, man. Be serious. You can't do that. After, I don't know why Tudor's playing him in that position. After seeing how he played against Villarreal, how can you start him there? I understand Thuram wasn't fully fit, so you didn't want to start him. But then play an Adzic in the double pivot. Do you understand what I'm saying? Or change up the system. Play a 4-2-3-1, where the double pivot, the second man in the double pivot, has less offensive responsibilities then. McKennie was poor today. Someone who I thought was really good today, and I think this was his best performance of the season so far, was Kalulu. It says here he created the most chances in the first half. In the match, sorry. But in the first half, I was going to say Kalulu was good. Kalulu's final pass was actually good. The problem I have with Kalulu and the 5-back is the right wing-back has a lot of offensive responsibilities. Often, the right wing-back is in situations where he needs to cross in and around the box. Very often, where he needs to be the man that puts it in the middle for the striker, the David, the Vlahovic. He needs to whip in a good ball. Kalulu can't do that because he doesn't have good feet. But it's not his fault. He's a centre-half by trade. So I feel sorry for Kalulu that he had so much responsibility in and around the final third, in and around the box. But today, it was one of his better performances. In the second half, his final pass wasn't there. It was like night and day between the first half and second half. Conceição, for example, first half, very good. Second half, disappeared. Conceição is a player where, I've said this on the Culture Show podcast before, where if he starts the game, he gives you a good half. That's it. Second half, he's going to drop off because he's tired. He runs out of gas. And that's what happened again today. If he comes off as an impact sub, if he comes on as an impact sub, he's going to make the difference. He's going to be sharp. But starting, he cannot start a full 90. He cannot be focused for a full game. However, in the first half, he was causing Cambiaghi a lot of problems. He looked really, really good. Was successfully beating his man, putting in nice crosses to David, to McKennie, who were fluffing their lines. We had 3 clear-cut chances, I think. Moving on to Yildiz and David, they weren't in the game. Kenan, look at here, man. Completed the most dribbles 2 in the match. That was how low the level of football was today from both teams, in my opinion. But Kenan, I wouldn't have even hooked him. Because hooking Kenan, what does that offer you? He's the most creative player we have in the squad. Hooking him to switch to a 3-5-2 with a midfield 3 of McKennie, Locatelli, Thuram, and Vlahovic and Openda. Where's the creative spark when you have wing-backs of Kalulu and Cambiaso, then Kostic came on? Where is the creative spark in that team? There isn't one. Kenan isn't just our most creative player. He's also our most reliable player when it comes to goal scoring. Do you understand what I'm saying? So hooking Kenan made no sense. And if you were to hook Kenan, you need to bring on a like-for-like creative player like Zhegrova. But you didn't do that. But we're going to talk about that in a second. And lastly, Jonathan David slipped when he had a great opportunity in the box. Today, his link-up play was decent. But as a striker in the box, he lacks that sort of end product. He lacks the movement. He lacks the know-how almost of Italian football. But again, that will take time. That will come with time. But it's frustrating. It's obviously frustrating for us fans to watch. But I think we got to give Jonathan David time. I do think there's a player in there. But again, today wasn't great. Now, this was sort of the lineup starting off in the game. I mean, in the first half, very much so, our joy came on this right-hand side with Conceição against Bartezaki, where Conceição was always beating him. He was always going down the byline, where then he was in a position here to play it across to either David or McKennie. He was constantly beating the man. In the second half, however, we weren't using Conceição as an outlet, which I thought was quite bizarre. Conceição was playing very close to the halfway line, which didn't make much sense because Bartezaki is a young player, of course. He's going to improve and develop with time, but he was struggling massively against Conceição. Conceição got the better of him every single time down this right-hand side. That's why I would have brought on a Zhegrova to cause even more issues, whether that be on the right or the left, okay? Because then, let's say you hook Conceição who's tired. Bartezaki, who's played the whole game, I knew Allegri wouldn't have hooked him because he didn't have a better replacement. Zhegrova would have beaten him every time. But Zhegrova is more of a versatile winger, I think, than a Conceição. He can come on the inside or the outside. And what I would have then done, to make matters even harder, remove McKennie, brought on, I don't know, let's say Thuram, because he did come on. Have Yildiz in the 10, because then you would have had Yildiz doubling up. Yildiz would have been in this sort of situation, whether that be for the 1-2, with Zhegrova, who then may play and move. Yildiz would have been coming across in the box to cause more of a threat to Pavlovic, because often he was watching McKennie's runs across the box that weren't dangerous at all. The game plan switched almost in the second half, where I don't really know where the creativity was almost coming from. We were no longer pointing Bartezagi. We were sort of just getting Kalulu in and around this situation, where Kalulu was on the ball, and he was just here, and he was just crossing the ball and hoping. But every cross he put in, Pavlovic would clear, Gabbia would clear. It wasn't dangerous. This box situation here, it was comfortable for the Milan defenders. This box was commanded well by Maignan, Gabbia, Tomori, the whole defense. The whole defense. I don't really understand the subs. As I said, I would have bought on Zhegrova. He bought on Kefren Thuram, he bought on Vlahovic, he bought on Openda, and he bought on Kostic. For me, when you're 0-0, you're lucky that it's 0-0. You're under the cost. You know you need 3 points against a direct rival to be a serious contender for the league. Why would you bring on Openda? Why would you bring on Kostic when you know they're gambles to change the game? I agree we need to give time to Openda, but for the money we've spent so far, I don't think he's impressed me at all. I haven't really seen a trait of his that I think is superior to Kolo Muani, for example. Bringing in Kostic makes no sense as well. He's not creative at all. He's at the end of his career. Even this man on the bench is criminal. Edon Zhegrova. Leaving him on the bench when it's 0-0 and you need a goal and you've subbed off Yildiz and you have no creative players on the pitch, and you're keeping Zhegrova on the bench, it's criminal. It shouldn't be allowed. It makes no sense. I asked Tudor this. Why? I'll ask it in another language. Perché? Pourquoi? Porque? That's all I got. Why? Why would you not bring on Zhegrova? What has he done to deserve no minutes against Villarreal, against Milan today? You saw him against Dortmund. You saw him in glimpses. I think he's played 2 games for Juventus, or come on as a sub twice. Every time he's on the ball, he's creative. Every time he's on the ball, he points the man. He wants to be on the ball. He's brave. He changes the game. He's a game changer. Whether that be with his crosses, his change of direction, his speed, his unpredictability, his shot. He can change the game in a multitude of ways that other players like Openda can't, Vlahovic can't, because he's a different kind of player. I'm not saying we shouldn't have bought on Openda or Vlahovic, but bringing them both on in a 3-5-2 with McKennie, Thuram and Locatelli as the midfield 3, with Cambiaso and Kalulu as the wing-backs. And you know Cambiaso's not the same player he was before the injury, where he's a ridiculous creative final third genius. You don't have a way or an effective way to play to look for the goal, if that makes sense. You're gambling. You're going with the long ball. You're going with a hit and hope. With Zhegrova, at least you know, give the ball to his feet. Then it's in his control. He's going to decide to make the difference or not. Him, Edon Zhegrova. And today, the fact that we didn't use him for 1 single second is a horrible decision by Tudor. And I don't agree with that whatsoever. The fact that Zhegrova hasn't started a match is criminal. The fact that he hadn't come on today in the last, well, today or Villarreal is criminal in a game like this where you needed the 3 points. We needed the 3 points. I told you, boys. You need to win your head-to-heads. Luck was on our side today. The game was there to be won. Grab the game by the scruff of the neck. Leave Kenan on the pitch. Leave Vlahovic, bring him on, but leave him as the lone striker, not a two-man attack with a panda. Bring Zhegrova on, even bringing Adzic on. Go all out. Risk everything to win everything. Shout out Ronaldo, shout out Neymar. They were in the ad. They know what I'm talking about. Risk everything to win everything. There's no greater danger than playing it safe. We all know the ad. And it's true. Whether that be in football or real life, take the risk, take the gamble. I said this on stream. I would have rather we gambled the win today than just taken the 0-0 draw. A win today would have been huge, not only for morale, but a statement that we're here to compete for the whole season. Today confirmed to me we're not serious title contenders, in my opinion. For me, it's just going to be another season fighting for top 4. Then let's look at the table. We'll look at the table. Napoli, 15. Roma, 15. They won again against Fiorentina today. Napoli won again today. 2-1. But they got the job done. I don't know how they played. I couldn't watch the game. But they got the job done. Højlund scored again. Milan's 1 point ahead. Inter, look at Inter. Inter have climbed because they've won the last 3. And they won in the Champions League both games. We've drawn the last 3. And our next game is against Como, who are 7th. Who are no mugs. That's not easy. Como away is not easy. But hold on, it gets worse. Because then we got to look at our fixtures. We got Como, then Madrid, then Lazio. All 3 in a row. These are tough games. And these are all guaranteed wins. You don't understand. As in, like, not guaranteed. I'm not saying we're going to win all 3, but we need to win all 3. Como, we need 3 points in the league. Real Madrid, we need to get 3 points in the group stage. We've drawn the first 2. I know we're not the favourites going to the Bernabeu, but we need to get points. We need to qualify. At least in the play-ins. Then Lazio, again, it's a head-to-head. So from Juventus' point of view today, we weren't great. Disappointing. I'm going to talk a little bit about AC Milan as well, because I know I got a lot of Milan fans that follow me, that watch the channel, and I appreciate you guys. Maignan, great save. Really kept them in the game, because that was just after half-time, the Gatti chance, so they were good. The defence today marshaled the box perfectly, as I said. I mean, defensively, AC Milan have improved so much. Allegri's a defensive masterclass. They were really good. Bartezaki was struggling, but he's young. It's gonna take time. Salamakers today, I thought his final ball wasn't there, but his work rate up and down the flanks was good. Fofana wasn't ideal. Rabiot today, I think he was almost playing the occasion a bit. Not the typical Rabiot that we see. Modric, I thought today wasn't in the game like as much as he was against Napoli, for example. However, that one ball that he played over the top that led to the goal is what sets world-class players apart. Even if you're not in the game for 90 minutes, you have those moments where you can just switch on and create and make the difference, and he did that. Jimenez today had a few opportunities, none clear, really clear-cut. Probably should have done better in one way. Sort of like, it was the first half, he was in this area, dribbled through everyone, and it was a basic save for Di Gregorio. And Pulisic today, because of the penalty miss, I mean, he's going to be remembered for that, but he was pretty dangerous before that. But it was a really bad penalty, skied it over the bar. But I ask you this, boys. Where are we going from here? Can we win the league? I don't think we can win the league realistically this season. Of course, I'm going to keep faith. We're still unbeaten this year, but I don't think that means much. You can be unbeaten and get relegated. I just think Tudor needs to be a lot braver with his... Well, he needs to change the system. As I said, a 4-3-3 he needs to play. I made a whole video on that. Go check that out if you haven't already. He needs to be braver with the personnel he plays. He needs to make the correct substitutions, which I don't think he's made recently. And it's been overall, it's been pretty disappointing, I have to say. Another disappointing result today. We rode our luck. We were fortunate to come away with a point. But as always, boys, let me know in the comment section what you thought about this game. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're so close to 5k subs. I think we're like 200 off, so make sure you subscribe. Road to 10k real soon. Share it to some friends. Follow me on socials, and I'll see you in the next one.